Hey, welcome. I'm Chad Jaquette. This is John Malik, and we're going to be discussing some of the details regarding Taylor Station, our new pizza restaurant and 36-hole miniature golf course. I thought it would be best if I start off introducing myself because I realized when we started this product that nobody knows who I am. And I got those comments quite a bit from some of my friends in the community. So my background, I'm originally from New Hampshire, and now I live here in Taylor, South Carolina. For about the past 12 years. I have 4 kids and I'm married, and so we're pretty busy. My background is primarily in web development. I was a full stack web developer for 15 years, and then we transitioned into real estate, which we've been partially doing on the side, flipping houses, owning and operating short-term rentals like Airbnbs. And now we are kind of moving away from that for what we call small town redevelopment. We're trying to improve this community area. I live here and want to see really amazing things happen. So our phrase is awesome spaces for amazing community, and this is one of those awesome spaces that we are working on.
I'm John Malik.
There we go. Here's a lot more to a story than that, of course.
I've been a fixture in the food and beverage community in Greenville since 1995 when I was chef at the Augusta Grill, and I was there 5 years, chef there 5 years. And at the time, Augusta Grill was the place where the city was on this trajectory to grow and to expand and to attract business and investors. And a lot of times when the city leaders brought those people into the community, they took them to dinner over at Augusta Grill.
Wow.
So yeah, I was there 5 years. Last year I was there. I spent 12 months as Food Network's Flavor of the Month and did a bunch of TV, and then my wife and I opened up our own restaurant called 33 Liberty.
Nice.
There for 9 years, and I was while I was there, I was nominated for first chef in Greenville with the James Beard nomination, best chef in the Southeast. Spent 3 years as leading a big team at the Cascades Retirement Community, and while I was there, I wrote a novel, published a novel. And then I went out on my own, and I've been a hospitality consultant since roughly 2013. And along the way, I've had some amazing experiences. And I write a column for the Greenville Journal called City Juice. It's all about our town's food and beverage scene. And I write a lot on my own website, chefjohnmalik.com.
Yep. There you go.
So,
awesome.
I'm here to help you make a wonderful restaurant in the middle of 36 holes of mini golf.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that bring John on board when we initially were pitching. Where we're at now is Taylor's Commons, and we use this for business coaching and real estate investing mastermind and meetups, networking events. And initially, when I had reached out to you, I was contacting you about building a restaurant out of this facility.
I remember that.
And so I believe you said it was a good idea to have something in Taylor's in Main Street,
right.
But you never came to see here. I did have some other friends who work at Tandem, and they came to the property and they were like, well, it's a little tight to actually be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. And the building's older, so it'll take a lot to rework it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were looking at doing this project, I was like, well, reach back out to John. You type in restaurants or chef in Greenville, and he shows up, and top listing right there, his name. So we went back to John and brought him on board, because one thing that I found, and I mentioned this in the other previous video we were talking, that when you go out to eat, you don't normally say, hey, let's go eat at that entertainment venue, whichever one you're going to name. And I just didn't want that to be the case with this. We're looking for not just building another like family fun center or an entertainment venue specifically. We're looking for a place to engage in community. So we're trying to build the sources that would, reflect that. So it needs to be an amazing place to eat. It needs to be competitive. It needs to be a great place to eat, and that people would go there to eat and not just to play mini golf. Yeah, sure. They might do both. They might do one or. Mm-hmm. And then within that, providing outdoor and other amenities that are great for all ages to be there. So we're going to get into some of the details where we're at now. First off, with the restaurant, menu, aesthetics, culture, and then we'll follow up a little bit where we are with funding. One thing I want to correct first off that I said wrong in the other video, I told you about a guy who ran some Super Bowl ads and does these dog breeding services for people. Crockett Doodles is what it's called. I mentioned them because I mixed them up. There's these, I believe they're brothers, and I may be a little bit off there, but I believe they're brothers, and one of them is the president of Bob Jones, and one of them does that, but he also works at Bob Jones. So that was the latest information. Yeah, somebody told me about that, and they're like, "Hey, you got that wrong." I was like, "Okay, I'll fix it with the information you've given me, but I still need to verify all that." So we're at that point. So getting into the restaurant, we have gone through. Well, John has mostly done a lot of research as far as aesthetics, the menu. That's a really big thing because what are we going to eat? And it's obviously pizza because it's a pizza restaurant. But do you want to talk a little bit about where you've taken the menu and suggestions so far?
So so far we've got pizza. We've got some interesting salads, a few sandwiches, and some fun kids food, and some soft serve ice cream. Yeah. And the thing about pizza is pizza is going to survive any Holocaust, right? It is a comfort food across the globe. Bread with baked with the simple sauce and cheese. That is something that spans many cultures throughout history. And it's no secret here, but I was in India recently. There's pizza there. I've been in Central America. There's pizza there. There's pizzas all over the globe. Yep. And it's one of those things that is just comforting in good times and bad. And so that was a natural for us, I think. One thing we're going to do is we're going to make our own dough, make our crusts, right? Make some simple toppings. We'll make our own sauces, and we're looking at some pretty fancy pizza ovens. You know, and plus that's a way to teach people that are probably going to be right out of high school, teach them their first job, and it's a way for whoever ends up doing that. It's a way for them to learn not only a skill but an artistic skill. Yeah. Because there's an art to good pizza. Oh yeah. Great pizza.
A great crust that crackles and the right perfect chew. Man.
And there's a reason why it crackles, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm getting hungry now. I just ate. So we'll have pizza, obviously. Salads, which is a pretty competitive space. I feel like I know pizzas are competitive, but like salads, people are going all over the place with what they're making nowadays. Right. Even my wife makes these like really cool salads that are just like, what did you put in this? So I'm excited to see what come up with in that space too. Okay. All right. Good. And of course, soft serve ice cream. I mean, like that's definitely a winner out there.
I know. It's hard to resist, because with the soft serve, you can put it right out in the dining room. You can roll that machine out there. Pipe it right there. It's so much more appealing, I think, than one of your people leaning over into a deep freezer and scooping and right. And there's an art to soft serve as well. Yep. One of my favorite restaurants in Charleston, a place called Leon's, and they have the best fried chicken in Charleston. My gosh, they have like a very wonderful soft serve ice cream, and their recipe changes every week, and I'm just a fan of the whole way, even the way the machine works, in the process of creating soft serve. So
that's awesome. I'm excited. I love soft serve. I feel like it's been hard to find a good place with it down here. In New England, we had it at a lot of places. Yeah. Typically, I took my wife to one of the farms we grew up. We'd eat ice cream at the farm, and the smells are not the most appealing. I forgot about that, but it was really fun eating bubblegum ice cream that was made there. So, but my kids enjoyed it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's like some of the parts on the menu. As far as the aesthetics, we're starting to go into that realm, and everybody uses AI nowadays for various tools, and I just like started pumping out all kinds of crazy ideas. Let's have a giant pizza oven in the middle of the restaurant. It's like, no, that's probably not a good idea. But do you want to talk about that at all? Because like I know I've already pitched. Like I do.
The giant pizza oven or the aesthetics?
The aesthetics, the giant pizza oven. How we're going to pull that off?
So here, if you went to 100 people that lived in, say, Greenville County, and said, what is the first thing that comes in mind when I say Taylor's, South Carolina? It'd be the mill, right? So the mill, even though parts of it are unattractive, parts of it are very attractive. And I really like the aesthetic, the textures, the colors of the metal or the wood or the paint. And so when we start working with the architect, we're going to try to kind of capture that aesthetic on the inside, right? Can we make it feel like a modern resurgence of the old Taylor's Mill?
Yeah.
Can we do that and still make it feel fun and attractive and in a restaurant?
Yeah, exactly. Because we want it to be family friendly. So that means you're gonna have kids, but we also, like I've told John, I don't want it to be kitschy and like too kiddie, because we do want to attract a variety of ages. And that's a really hard thing to do. Even in our church, this is talked about a lot. It's like, how do you have intergenerational, community and people talking to you? It's a difficult thing to pull off, and especially in a restaurant where they're talking about like, hey, how do we build a miniature golf course? And a lot of people immediately think like Gatlinburg,
spinning windmills,
spinning wheels is like the big purple dinosaur, the dragon,
the dragon tail.
Yeah, it's like we're not gonna do that, because that is fun, and I get that, and especially in touristy areas, but we want to keep it classy, and we want everybody to enjoy it. And there's a few fun little things we're hiding there, but we do want to be related to our surrounding area. That's why, hence the mill. That is very iconic. And if you look at getting into zoning, they have a zoning overlay for the Main Street area, and I believe Taylor Station's outside of that area, but we still want to fit in with the aesthetics that are described in the zoning overlay for this area. And a lot of it is textile mill village kind of concepts, and there's a real sense of earthiness when you're dealing with, we want wood, we want stone, we want metal, we want real things and not just completely fabricated plastics. Nothing against that, but we want stuff to feel very grounded and real. So
those buildings like that, when those bricks were made with dirt and mud that they dug locally. And there's a reason why all those 100 to 150-year-old buildings, there's a reason why they look familiar. And all that wood was locally hewn. The bricks were locally created. And there's a reason why all those mills are next to the rivers. So even though those jobs are probably pretty rough, it's still our heritage, and we should still appreciate it and understand it and celebrate it.
Exactly. Even from the name of what we picked, doing Taylor's with the apostrophe. I mentioned that there. A great recommendation from Alex Reynolds, where we get to tell a little bit more story about this area, Alfred Taylor, and then they had Taylor's Station because his name didn't have just an S there, and it was apostrophe S because it was Alfred Taylor's Station where the rail would come, and now we're harking back to that. So there's a lot of historical roots. There you go.
Thank you for enlightening me.
You're welcome. So we love to play into the history of this area because there's just so many things I've learned. A fascinating amount of information. Alex Reynolds is a great person to sit down and talk with, and they have these books. One of my agent friends gave me a book like the history of Taylor's, that just a whole bunch of things you can learn about this area. Every building, they document all the buildings and the families and things like that, what they did. I mean, if you get into Chick Springs and that whole area with the former resort, it's really interesting.
Right.
It's sad that it burned down and everything, but even the Chick Springs itself getting hit by a tree is like unfortunate, but they're still, Alex and his team and everybody else in Taylor's working on revitalizing that area and providing it to be a community area. Really awesome. So a lot of really cool things in aesthetics. And that actually plays into one thing I'm working with Triangle and with Craig Alden Davis and Stewart and then I'm also talking with another company about the pavilion structure itself. So I pitched a rather large structure. I'm sure you saw the emails where I was like, I want it to be like 80 by 80 feet. So it's like 6,000 square feet.
Meters or feet?
I think it was feet or something. Like, it's a lot. It's a huge building. I was like, I want to cover this massive section because I want to cover that whole side parking lot. And Charlie was just like, that is really big. I was like, I realize it now. So let's like do a mixture of things we can play into some of the designs and aesthetics, come up with something really cool out there. So we're still working on that piece. But yeah, as far as the culture, that's a really important factor. I think that plays into every restaurant and every venue, every place you go. One thing that's kind of sad to me is you see a lot of everything, I guess, retail, restaurants, places to be, where it's not very long before you kind of think somebody should just go out there and pressure wash that sign. And they never do it. And then you meet some of the people. There's one restaurant, which I will not name but you go in and you wonder if anybody there actually wants to be there, even the owner. And I don't want that. I want people, as in like you had told this story about this other particular restaurant. I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but can you tell everyone about, like, are you going to go home tired, basically?
Yeah, that was David Glass, the general manager at Maple Street Biscuit.
Oh, yes.
And my wife and I had gone over there for coffee and a biscuit one day between Sunday school and church. And I was just watching him move through his team, ended up talking to him and really enjoyed my conversation. And I told him, hey, I write this column for the Greenville Journal. I'd love to write about you. And so he promises whenever he hires somebody for that restaurant, he promises 3 things. And one is that when you leave at the end of the day, you are going to be exhausted. You will have worked a full shift. 2 is that you'll be, when you're done working for him, you will be a better team player. And number 3 is you will be a better person. And he promises that to people that accept his job offer.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dad, you know what? That's the way it should be.
Yep.
Somebody comes to work for you, you should, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Number 1, I'm not going to pull any punches. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to work hard. Right?
Yeah.
And then that should be our mission in life, especially as men, as leaders, as women. When you're responsible for employing young ladies, young men, that should be your goal. You should say, I'll make you a better person, and I'll make you a better team player.
Yeah.
Be a better employee for the next guy, the next person
Absolutely.
that you're working for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you have any questions as we're going along, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll answer them. I think that is like something that you kind of see in society. One of my friends was mentioning that we're kind of like moving towards a society that doesn't trust each other, and community is broken. It's like trying to like fix that in a small way by providing more things, but even in the culture of the restaurant, rather than you going to work and saying, hey, I expect all these benefits. Like that's where a lot of employees like, oh, I'm just going there to work for X, Y, and Z benefits. And even on the employer side, it's just like, how do I keep this person forever and not pay them much? Like, there's that dichotomy where everybody's warring. It's like, we don't want to create that. We expect people to move on, but we want to make them amazing. I think there is a great phrase that somebody probably posted on LinkedIn, I'm sure, where they were saying, what if we should invest in this person? It's like, yeah, but what if they leave and after we invest in them, it's like, but what if they stay and we don't invest in them? It's like, do you want that person to keep working there? So I think with the culture side of things, when it comes to the restaurant, I think Chick-fil-A does a great job of it in that they have that radical fanaticism when it comes to being a part of it. Everybody loves Chick-fil-A. Not so much since they ended Cow Day. If anybody has anything to do with Chick-fil-A and they can get Cow Day, come back.
Cow Day.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Cow Day anymore?
they don't do that anymore. I'm just like, what? That's your signature thing.
Exactly.
I have a couple other things. One of my friends, we'll talk about Chick-fil-A another day, but they do a great job of, building out. Everybody wants to be an operator. You want to get up there, and it's a very competitive thing. I think it's a harder to get into being a Chick-fil-A operator than it is to get into Harvard. I think that's how the numbers played out, somebody was saying. And we may be able to compete on that level. We don't have a huge staff that can run this place, but we want people to be cross-trained. We want them to be better people when they're done working for us or throughout it, like just constantly be growing and give them that great experience. Because as we go into Taylor's, like this is not the only project that I aspire to be bringing into Taylor's, and we're going to need other things happening and other people to take and push those other projects and businesses forward. And we need to make those people.
Mhm.
And they don't just come out of nowhere. You invest in them, you invest in the people around you. So
Right.
yeah, culture is extremely important.
One of my proudest moments as a chef was when we had our restaurant, and one of my cooks who'd been with me for several years, and he had grown with us, and he came to me and put in his notice, a 30-day notice, because he was going to open up his own place. And he was embarrassed to come. He didn't know how I'd take it. I was like, Tony, that's great. I'm so proud of you.
Yep.
Good for you, right?
Yeah.
Take a shot. Get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Joe Cash, who owns Scoundrel Restaurant.
Oh yeah.
in Green.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Scoundrel, I've heard of.
Yeah. So Joe came to work for us when he was 18. We were the first restaurant. I was the first chef that he worked for.
Wow.
And so he was with us for over a year. And then I told him it was time to move on. You need to go have another experience. And then he ended up spending 4 years in New York with Tom Keller. He did 6 months at Noma in Copenhagen, which is top restaurant in the world. And, and now Scoundrel is a wonderful restaurant.
I need to eat there. I don't think I've ever been. So I need to do that one of these days. We were just talking about Spaghetti Western, a great place in Taylor's, of all places.
Right.
I love Spaghetti Western.
If you think Spaghetti Western is expensive.
Oh, I'm sure. I've eaten at more expensive places than it's just babysitting and then paying for a restaurant. Go to
Scoundrel.
Scoundrel. Okay. Well, I will have to try it one of these days. So I'm excited about that. I think, the culture and aspiring and inspiring people, like you were saying, you're proud of when people move on, because number one, you've set those 3 bars. They've worked hard. They're a better teammate, and now they're a better person. And then you're proud for them, and probably for yourself too, because you've helped that individual as a mentor move along. And that's a really inspiring moment, I think, for anyone. So that's pretty awesome. Really excited for it. So that's kind of the gist of where we're at in the restaurant development process. We have a lot of other probably boring stuff. I see, when I show people the fractional project, I'm like, hey, you can invest in this thing. Oh, let me go learn about it. And then they start scrolling and like their eyes glaze over. There's so much information on that page. I get it. We're trying to do some of these videos where it can be a little bit more concise, a little more fun. But it's still exciting nonetheless. You can go read about everything going on there. I need to update some stuff.
So we'll tell them about the building. Which building is this going to be in?
Yes. So this was a former 7-Eleven gas station, which is, very interesting. It's a lot of fun to walk around a empty gas station and walk through all these giant coolers. You're like, this is a unique experience.
Right.
We did walk through it a couple times. I'm actually meeting a local artist there in a couple of weeks because she reached out to us. I've had the most interesting people reaching out to me lately. I'm really excited about it. I think several news organizations, some of the people who represent Kidding Around Greenville will be meeting with her as well. I'm just really excited for the project. But the building itself is a former 7-Eleven, so you've seen kind of a gas station. It's just a big long building with a front, some windows.
7-Eleven.
Yeah,
Not very attractive.
Yeah, no. Well,
big hurricane fence around it.
Exactly. Nothing very attractive except for the fact that it sits right on Wade Hampton Boulevard, and it has all of those. I think it was like 50,000 cars a day cross by that area, and that number keeps going up because that major Highway 29 between Greenville and Spartanburg just gets busier.
Right.
It has a huge parking lot. The gas tanks have been removed from the ground. The canopy is gone as well. DES, the Department of Environmental Services, is already certified. We're all good. So we are all set. It backs right up to a couple other unique features in Taylor's, which would be the library, and who I'm going to be reaching out to relatively soon for the project. I'll be like, I would love to build a little pathway right down into there, because wouldn't it be so fun for you to come out of the library, Mommy, Daddy, let's go eat pizza and play mini golf. Never going to get away from that one. So we'll be able to coordinate with some of our local groups like the library. I'd love to work with them and see what we can do. Also the roller rink, who I've been sending an email with and connecting with them to see how we can work together, because that's a huge piece of Taylor's history too. They've been in operation for like 50 years or something like that. It's a long time.
Do you skate?
I don't skate. I mostly rollerblade and ice skate. So, but yes, I'm not a great skater because I don't know, like getting on the 4 wheels thing with It's just harder for some reason, but I should probably give it a bigger shot. But they're a huge like community leader because they have a lot of other activities and things that they
And
do
you know,
there.
when you're out there roller skating, you cannot be on your phone. The more things
Yes.
that we can create, keep
Yes.
people off their phones, the better.
Exactly. That's so like when we're designing the restaurant itself, we can't really get away from like, we're not going to like put a box on your table and say, take away your phone. But some of the things that we mentioned last time is just not putting in arcades, focusing on having pizza because that's a community food, building a fenced in play area. So parents who have kids, they can put them there. The older kids can play mini golf and, adults can talk, and allowing for people to interact in a lot of ways. There's a lot of other fun things that I would love to throw into the property, but we're going to focus on just the start.
The Pentagon is working on something that emits a powerful ray that disables cell phones.
Oh yeah, we could install one of those. So if you'd like to invest $500 million. But I think so. One of the things when we were working on the designs for another part of Taylor's, one of the things I told the architects when it came to there, I don't know if I mentioned it here to you or not. Have you ever played the video game Zelda? You've probably heard of Zelda, but
I think I have. I'm sure I have.
So if you play that game, it feels like, or if you play Minecraft, that's another great one where you just are exploring and discovering and
you're going
finding
through
things.
the castle or the
and like you just like, oh wow, like what's over here and what's over here, and it's all these like unique spots. One person, the person who made that, Shigeru, he talks about it being reflective of his growing up in Japan, where you're just going out as a child and exploring, and then like suddenly finding like a lake or like a waterfall or big trees and like forest and all these unique things. And everything that we're doing in Taylor's, as I talk to the architects and the designers, I tell them, I want people to have, number one, community, and number two, a sense of adventure and exploration, so that they don't really know what's around the corner, that maybe just there's another little hidden thing in there. There's this organization that I love seeing what their work is called Meow Wolf. And it's a really and they're an artistic organization. And what they're one of their first projects that I saw was they built this house. I think it was all inside as well as it was in a big building, and it looked like a house. And you would go in the house, and you kind of saw the story of the people who used to live in the house. And as you walk through the house, you notice it starts getting stranger. Things aren't in the right places. And it tells this story of basically some people who got like sucked into this other dimension, and their house starts warping as you walk through it. And then like you're opening things like the fridge, and like suddenly there's a slide that you just get inside the fridge and you slide it down into this other place. I just like that sense of like, you don't really know what's in there, and you're in an adventure, and you're in this, finding things. So I communicate things like that. Their biggest new thing right now is they have Omega Mart. It's a grocery store. You can go there, you can buy stuff. The products are weirdly labeled. Some of the oranges have eyes or something like that. And then you can like open one of the coolers to get a drink, but actually it's a door, and then you walk in there and there's like multiple levels to this whole story. I'd love to do something like that. We're not doing that right now.
All right.
Nowhere near close to that. But I tell all that because I want that sense of adventure to inspire and the curiosity. So I hear like that beautiful artwork thing that's downtown. I actually didn't even go to it. I really wish I had. Do you know that the Monet, the experience where you can go through and stuff? I really wanted to do that.
Is it gone?
I believe it ends at the end of this month. I leave for Texas tomorrow, so I will not be able to get there, but that is supposed to be a good experience. Just giving people that sense of discovery.
Sense of wonder and discovery. And
Exactly.
Okay.
So those are a couple of things I like to pick and stick into every project. So where we're at right now with the funding, if you look at the fractional page, you can see that there's one person who's invested in that. Stella, who's the creator of the app, which she's awesome. And I'm gonna see her probably tomorrow or the next day. And during that process, I haven't solely relied on the community to just help fund this entire thing. As excited as I am to have everybody a part of it, we've been applying for a variety of loan products. So we have I think like 3 banks and 3 SBA related entities that we're talking to who are interested in funding different aspects of it. So we definitely have some potential options there that we're working through. So, and then also I'm working my own means of capital to put into the project. So we're still moving forward with that. as far as timeline on things, I think the website still says, we'll be open sometime later this year. And the YWF, the news, reached out to me and asked when. I'd like to keep them updated, and I will. But at this point, we primarily need to get the first quarter of what we need, $2 million to get the full acquisition and the design stuff started rolling, which we've already worked on the design. My company's been funding that, paying you, putting you in there, Craig Golden, Triangle, and then our surveyor and civil engineer, River Rock. And so we are moving through those phases, but we're also working on the funding aspects. However we can go about it. I'm determined to make this succeed. So build something really amazing to start with. And I think once we get going into the inspirational entrepreneurial investor kind of thing, Ty Lopez talks about how the unique thing in America is that you only have to win once. And that's really what makes you more successful, is just the fact that you just have to win once. And I know that once we get through this project and we get something established, we can kind of set the path or set the vision and make a clear path forward for the community. It'll be easier to rally people towards the next project. So get on the ground floor, be part of one of our first investors in making this happen. And if you are one of the bigger investors who would love to partner with us in a different way, and we would love to talk to you directly and work out an arrangement and make this happen, so you can be a part of our project as well.